All right, so thank you so much. So here with Maggie's Wigs for Kids, and I'm really excited because we've had a good road relationship, especially in the last few years. Excited to be part of an organization that really helps kids, and I've got two young ones myself, and what you guys do and provide is exceptional, and we're really happy to be part of the mission on there. Um, Before we begin, can you kind of give a background and maybe just like call it an elevator pitch, if you will, of just what it is you guys do? Talk about like what moved you to go ahead and start this organization, and what have you guys accomplished in the years that you guys have been doing this, if you don't mind.
Well, my name is Maggie Varney. I'm the founder and CEO of Wigs for Kids, and I have had the honor and privilege of serving adult cancer patients in our community for the last 35 years. It was through that program, the Look Good, Feel Better program, that I was teaching at local cancer centers, volunteering on my day off, that a 16-year-old walked into my class and I found out there was nothing available for children. And I'm a licensed
Yeah,
cosmetologist and owned a salon, a hair restoration specialist, and so that really was the birth and of Wigs for Kids, and that's how we got started. I had no idea that there were so many children that needed our help, and 22 years later, we're having this conversation, and we've helped over 5,600 children right here in the state of Michigan, and we work with all eight
unbelievable.
hospitals all throughout Michigan that service pediatric oncology. And when I started it, it was about putting wigs on their heads, and then we developed it into a whole wellness center and added programming.
So I'm Jennifer Fisher. I'm the development director, and I help Maggie with the support service programming that we have in place at our wellness center. So there's a lot of additional services we can provide the kids and their families. We have fitness classes so that they can come in and work out in our fitness room and feel strong. We have a registered nurse who's also an exercise science specialist who oversees that. She's also an oncology masseuse, so she's able to provide chair massage for them when their muscles get achy and tired. We have a pediatric oncology dietitian that we work with who offers nutrition, healthy meal planning, because when the kids are going through treatment, there's a lot of dietary needs that they have, and we want to help them through that. So we help them from the inside out.
Yeah.
We have our VR for Kids program that is our newest, latest, greatest. And what we can do is give a virtual reality headset to children for 30 days. It helps them with pain management, meditation, relaxation. They can take care of a virtual pet. And they're allowed to take that to the hospitals with them, especially they spend a lot of time there. They have long periods of isolation or painful medical procedures. That headset really makes a difference for them emotionally and psychologically to have. So we also
Awesome.
hair, skin, and nails. So Maggie helps them with the wigs. We have an esthetician who can provide skincare services. She's also a licensed nail technician. She can provide nail care services in a safe space. We have makeup classes every month. Maggie teaches wonderful makeup services for the kids to help them deal with all those appearance related side effects of treatment.
And that's what they come to us for, image issues. And
Yeah.
so, and that's what we support them with, and the families, and they're so very grateful.
And an enchanted tea room. They can come in and have tea parties and have fun and make memories.
No, it is a really amazing program, and hearing the impact, through, me being a parent myself, and but it's really is amazing. Um, can you give maybe a little bit of background and just kind of a idea of, specifically talking about IT, like what do you guys use technology for? Like how does that like, just give a little bit of background on there. Like what does it look like at Maggie's Wigs for Kids with your IT?
What do we use it for? Everything.
Everything.
I had no idea the importance of it when I first started this organization and the impact it would have. And thank God I hired this young lady next to me, because that is her expertise. And she has just helped us grow in that area, and she stays right on top of our needs. And when something new is out in the industry, she keeps us abreast of it and lets us know about it so we can pursue it and learn about it. But honestly, we really, when I started, we couldn't afford to have tech support. And, we were a small grassroots nonprofit organization. We had no funding. I paid for everything myself for the first 7 years to put the wigs on the kids' heads. So when we grew, we got to a point we had to have technology. Somebody gave me a donated computer. That was my technology. And now it's amazing how it is intertwined in every aspect of everything we do, all the way through, and especially with our our new VR program. So, you want to give a
Yes.
little?
Starting out with a laptop that was donated, now you guys got virtual headsets.
Yeah. But it's been a learning curve, believe me, and learning curves are expensive, especially when you're not aware. And thank God we have you guys and a great company that is so dedicated and committed not only to what you do, and do you do it with excellence. And your team is just remarkable, and so professional and courteous, but they also educate us and keep us abreast of what's going on.
And knowledgeable too. When we were first coming into our new wellness center, I remember we were in a transition period because we needed new equipment. We had used this hardware for so long and made it work as a nonprofit on a very tight budget.
It was end of life.
It was end of life, and the hardware was actually breaking down, and it was causing trouble in the system. And we needed a new server, a new network switch, a new data backup. We needed a new firewall, and Grit was right there. You guys came in, you did a full technology assessment. You told us exactly what we needed, when we would need it. You made sure that we could phase certain components in so that
we could afford it.
We could afford it. It met our budget, but it was kept us safe and secure.
Yeah, in no, and it's really cool to see that. Let's kind of dive into some of that just a little bit. Can you kind of go into like a day to day, like what types of things are we helping you guys in our partnership with? Just give a little background on what that looks like a little bit.
Sure. So if there's an issue with our printers, this would be an example. Sometimes the printers will push through an update overnight, and sometimes the PCs might disconnect. They can't find the printer. I'll call Grit and immediately they're back online. I mean, you guys are right on top of things. We also have the daily spam catcher because the world is full of spam, right? And, you guys have that in place for us so that anything malicious or harmful is caught before it comes to our inbox. You make sure that you have eyes on that 24/7.
And when something did get through, they took care of it immediately.
Immediately. So there's never a delay. Everyone is always so pleasant to talk to. You're never bothering anyone. Everyone who answers has the knowledge they need to address the ticket at hand, whatever that ticket happens to be.
Even when they're on site, they come in, they do their job, they get it done, and they're out of here. They don't disrupt the business.
Nope.
And always very respectful, like doing it remotely too, because I'm with patients most of the day. But when I need to be in my office for things like this, I need that. And so I tell them my schedule and they work around it. Maybe I need to get on your computer. Okay, but I have this appointment and this appointment. Okay, no problem. And then they take care of it when I'm busy with the kids and in my office. So that was just amazing to me because that was not our experience with other companies prior.
Yeah. No, that's amazing to hear because we really work hard to really have a customer service first approach versus a technical first approach. Then we'll get to customer service, type of relationship, and that really does come from the head and leadership down, as far as the team is concerned. We even looking for people to fill in the roles that we have open. We really do work to see does this person have the soft skills, as I like to call them. Can they lead with empathy? Are they able to are they at least not to be like crazy charismatic by any means, but can they hold a conversation? Are they personable? Which is a little hard to find in IT sometimes, but the technical knowledge is something that we can always teach later. That's something that it's a skill that you can build, as you improve. But how somebody behaves with another individual, how they talk to somebody, that's really important, and especially when working with organizations like you guys, they're very important, and we need to make sure that they're very respectful for what you guys are doing. So I'm really happy to hear that people get the job done. They're not wasting anybody's time. They're in and out, like you said. Um, and you guys are experiencing, a great service on there. Um, Let me see. As far as we kind of talked about the day to day. We talked a little bit of the history, kind of prior to our involvement a little bit. Um, what are you guys seeing, moving forward? Have you guys had conversations in the next year to say 5 years of what's kind of happening next, and maybe where technology is going to possibly play a role in there?
Well, I just want to say, everything is about AI today, and
Yeah.
we have no idea how that's going to affect our business and our technology, but obviously it's going to affect everybody. What
Mhm.
I really respect and appreciate about Grid is when we got on board, there were so many things we were not aware of, and they came in legally, and they really educated us on.
We had the disaster preparedness plan. That was something new that was introduced by Grit to
Right.
us.
Yep.
And
Yep.
that's forward thinking, whether it's 5, 10, 15, 20 years down
Right.
the line, you never know. But planning ahead of time
Mhm.
to make sure that our systems and data are safe forever
Mhm.
is really important, especially with the state of cybersecurity today.
Mhm.
Mhm.
That's another thing they brought to our attention is
Legal compliance.
legal
Mhm.
compliance,
Mhm.
the phishing attempts, training our team to be advised of what's coming through the inbox and making sure that people aren't clicking on things that look legitimate but really aren't.
And did we have a disaster plan? I mean, nobody ever talked to us about these things.
No.
Yeah.
Cybersecurity insurance.
Yeah.
At the time, we were not aware that was something you could even get, and Group brought that to our attention, and we were
So-
able to secure it right away.
From a business perspective, that was really key for me.
Forward thinking.
I know you're thinking about the day-to-day operations and is it functioning? Yeah, I expect that. You're an IT company. But all
Right.
this other stuff that you offer and you educate and you give and support us with is invaluable.
And it affects the future of our
Right.
tech.
Right. So how do I see the future? I don't know.
AI came to my mind too.
Right. AI is where it's at right now.
Yeah.
That's the whole focus. And do we know, everything that's good in the world, there are people out there, unfortunately, who use it for bad.
Mhm.
So, how is that going to affect us, technology-wise? I don't know, but I'm sure you guys will keep us abreast of it and make sure that we're safe.
Yeah.
Yep. 100%. Absolutely.
Worry about it. That's your job,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And you guys do it well. So,
Absolutely. Of course we will. No, and that's kind of the fun thing, it's things are changing. Things have always been changing rapidly in technology. AI, it's like 100x. It seems like every day there's something new that we're hearing about, and that is definitely part of the plan. The great thing is that they're we're part of a larger peer-to-peer network, and it's not just us, over here saying, what do we got to do next? Like we've got partners and resources and people that, we're not reinventing the wheel here by any means. So we definitely are approaching that. And there's things even coming up in the near future where we will be having some discussions on not only like how to protect yourself with stuff in AI, but like how can you benefit from it? There's a lot of good behind it. It seems like it's very scary, at least like a sense of that with a lot of organizations. It's just like we don't want to touch it or we don't know what to do, and it's like no, there's actually some really good stuff behind it.
Opportunity.
right. We're
Yeah.
excited, like I said, out of everything good. And I think it's good.
Yeah.
People are afraid of it, but I think it's
No.
good. But people find a way to turn that around. So how can we protect it?
Right.
Yeah, there is a security piece behind it, absolutely, and we're definitely addressing that here in the near future of just things you need to really understand. And kind of going back to the disaster recovery plan conversation we just had too, like, you know, just making sure like you guys have processes and protocols in place to where these open source AI programs, like information isn't leaving the company and going to these open source programs that themselves potentially have the potential to be breached eventually. So it's there's a lot of advantages, but at the same point, like we got to have that conversation of security, and that's absolutely in the future. Let me ask you guys this. So obviously we've had a great working relationship. Like things are obviously moving forward. If there is a nonprofit that's looking at us as a possible partner, what would you say to them to say, what, or not necessarily us, but like if they're looking for a partner that does what we do, doesn't necessarily have to be grit. What were some things that are like non-negotiables for you? Like you would say you need to look for this in a partner. Maybe give me your top 3 or 5, things that you would definitely look for.
I would say integrity. They have to have integrity in who they are. So I would recommend that they do a background check on them and make sure that they are who they say they are and they do what they say they do. I hire people for their heart. I teach them skills. I already know you guys have skills because you would be an IT company if you didn't. But do you have the heart to understand the work that we do? The nonprofit sector is different than the for-profit sector. The laws, the rules, everything is different. Not everybody understands how we work, and it's just as necessary for a small grassroots nonprofit organization to have a great IT company like we do with Grit as it is for Blue Cross, Blue Shield, the Red Cross of America. I mean, you still, I don't care what your size is, it's just on a smaller scale maybe. So I would say integrity. I would make sure that I would, make sure that that was true. But then second for me is heart. I would look at who they support, and I don't just mean monetarily. What's important to them? Do they give back to the community? Do they do community outreach? Do they care about the people that provide them with a living? Do they give back in some way? That, in today's society, in today's world, that's one thing people complain about the young people. But that's really important. When I say young, I mean people even like yourself. They want to associate themselves with people who care. Because this is our world we live in, so it's up to all of us to, do the best we can individually to make it a better place for all of us to live. So I look at that whenever I'm looking, whether it's for an accountant or an IT company or a doctor. I mean, it's true. I think that's important to most of us today. So those are my 2 most important, integrity and heart. What's yours?
I would pick responsiveness because when an IT issue strikes, it can really affect the productivity of the team.
Yeah.
And then you are busy trying to make sure that that's fixed so that the team can get back to work. So the faster the technicians respond and get this resolved, the better we all are. So it would definitely be responsiveness would be one of mine.
And being fair. We know that you guys have to charge. My God, you have to get paid.
Absolutely.
So you're always fair about it.
Absolutely.
And you care. So.
And going to bat would be my other one. Reaching out to your technology partners and saying, this nonprofit could really use support. They're definitely willing to invest in technology, but they need to make it fit their budget. What can you do to help us as one of our technology partners? You guys do that for us all the time, whether it's with Lenovo or Dell, whoever your partner is, Datto, you always reach out and try to get us the best, fairest price that's available. And that I really respect that.
I do too.
Because that takes your time to do that. So I would say this and going to bat for your client is very important.
I think all 4 of those things you guys said together, I think that's definitely good. Kind of peeling the layers on that just a little bit. Like if you were sitting down and interviewing, another company or potential partner on that, how would you find that out? Because some people can kind of say, oh yeah, no problem, right? Like, is there any other type of research and things you guys would recommend, or maybe what you've done in the past?
what have we done? We research, we make
Yeah.
sure, and then we
Yeah.
call people that have, not just the ones that agree with them, but there are people today with social media, they write on there if they're not happy and why.
True.
You know,
Right.
Google
right,
reviews.
Google,
Those
and
are
you
big.
you can go and look there, and you can find out. And sometimes they're not always true,
Mhm.
so you
Yeah.
can't believe it. But you can also call the person and find out what the problem was.
Mhm.
Hmm.
It's a business, so it's usually available. Go ahead.
I would also say touring. We invite people to come in and tour our facility and meet us and really get to know our program. Because until
Yeah.
you experience it, we can tell you about it all day, but until you actually walk through the doors and see what we're doing here for the kids, it's a totally different level of understanding.
Just like we came to your place.
Right. And you made the time to learn more about your client. If I'm meeting a company and they don't have time for that,
I don't have time for them.
I don't have time for them.
Yeah, and I
100%.
my door and want to sell me something, and we'll say, "Would you have a minute for a tour?" When they say no, I don't care if they're giving it for free. I won't accept it.
Oh wow. Yeah, that's it. That's a huge piece. And it's
It's a two-way
both
street.
ways. Yeah. And that was something too, like somebody was, looking, and we were obviously looking to, partner with our services and everything, but like it was always an open invitation to come to our office, to say, just to show them like, hey, everything we've talked about, like I'm not blowing smoke, right? Like it's these people, they're real people, like they're people in your backyard that are on the service desk. They are, here's our head of the service desk team. Here's our engineering team that does all the project side of things, and plans for all of the networking and all this type of stuff. And they actually get to talk with them. They're not just sitting at a desk, yeah,
Yeah.
just to say, hey, like, and we know they know when they're coming in and stuff, and they make time. They spend 5 minutes, and they'll grill them on the latest switch or firewall or whatever, and it's fun. They get to see that there's the expertise and everything too. But I think that really removes the veil, if you will, and just shows them that it truly we are who we say we are. So and that's it. But it's important to come on site and to talk with them. I have always, when we talk with another organization, if they're interested, they're talking with us, it's always, we're going to come to you and sit down and see what's going on. Not only just to see if there's any red flags, screaming at us on the IT infrastructure side, but just would they really be a true partner? Is this an individual I'd really want to, who's really going to value what we do, right? It's got to work both ways.
It does have to work both ways. That's the way we run our
Yeah.
organization, and I really truly believe that's why we are so successful, because it is through the kindness and generosity of people and organizations and companies like yours that we are able to continue the great work that we do.
Absolutely. Well, we're happy to be part of the work and part of the mission on there. Um, if you were to sum up your relationship with us in one or two sentences, what would you say?
I'm not an IT person, and I am never talked down to or treated like um, I don't know what I'm talking about. They never talk
Mhm.
about me, they talk to me. They make sure I understand it, because Jen isn't always here. So when I say I'm not an IT person, I don't understand it like Jen does. Sometimes she's not here, and that they'll still take the time to speak with me about it so that I can convey what I need to Jen so she can address the issues with them. I can't necessarily address the issues. Go in the back and do this and do that. I don't do that,
Mhm.
you know. But and I found that to be very respectful and appreciated that, because when you're not an IT I'm very good at what I do, but IT is not my thing. So we all have our
Yeah.
and so I really appreciate what they do, and yet and I value what they do, and I think they know that when they're here, because when Jen's not here and we're dead in the water, they come in and they take care of it, and then they'll have her call them later. So, but they're always pleasant to work with, and honestly, I think for me that that's been very nice. I appreciate the way they handle themselves.
And I would say
Yeah.
I'm very grateful because I come from a graphic and web design background. I'm not a network engineer. So I might understand a piece of what's going on, but I am not able to fix it. And that's where you guys come in and you make everything work. So, and you walk me through the process. Everybody
Right, but they
is
never
so
make you
patient.
feel
No, and
yeah.
they're so patient. It's not like, oh, okay, we got to hurry up here. No, everybody's patient. They walk me through what I need to do. You know, I'm the boots on the ground so that we can get the problem resolved quickly and efficiently for everybody. And I really do appreciate that. I'm very grateful. I can sleep at night knowing that Grit's on top of everything.
Yeah.
You know, I don't have to worry about what about the server? You know, can I sleep at night? Is the server okay? Yeah, they got it. They're watching it. We're good.
Yeah.
You know,
Absolutely.
that's 24/7 eyes on everything, which is great.
That
Peace of mind.
Peace
Peace
of
of mind.
Glad to provide that. Absolutely.
I don't know
And
the answer you wanted,
Yeah, I
but
don't
that is how we feel about it.
Yeah,
Because
we have peace of mind.
we've had other experiences and
Very different experiences.
very different experience, and so
Yeah.
it's nice to work with you guys and
Mhm.
and your whole team,
Everybody.
every single person from every angle.
Sales, management,
Right, exactly.
support desk,
The
account
owner,
managers,
yeah, right.
everybody.
Hmm.
awesome. Well, terrific to hear. Awesome. Awesome. Well, I kind of want to wrap it up with that for today, and I definitely foresee that I having another conversation, probably in the next year or two for sure, just to see how things are, moving forward, and I'm sure we'll have. You guys are using VR headsets and stuff now. I'm sure we'll be talking about how you guys are using AI, in what you're doing at some point, here too. So it'd be really cool to see what's coming up down the line, in the future. But
Right now, we've just been here 5 years, and we're already getting new computers and new printers and new,
Mm-hmm.
and we've only been here 5 years,
Mhm.
and so in technology, you're always changing,
Right.
and you guys are always bringing that to our attention so that we stay current and
Mhm.
working within our budget. And we're very grateful, and if you ever have a client who is hesitant and you would like to use this as a reference, I would be happy to.
oh wow,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah, of course. Well, when you get, I give good service. And when
Mhm.
you get good service, you know how much work, time, dedication, commitment, and education goes into doing that. That doesn't just happen. Okay, I don't care what you do. And so I appreciate it and happy to give back however we can.
Absolutely. That's awesome to hear. Thank you so much. I think I'd like to end on that note on there. So thank you again for your time. I really appreciate it, and just thank you for what you do. It's truly. I mean, I've always had a heart for kids personally myself. I'm a new dad of 3 years now, but it's crazy. It's hearing the stories and at least in the background here at Grit. I know when our team meets with you and hearing what's going on, it's amazing, and I'm glad you guys are doing what you're doing. So thank you for that.
I hope to see you at the gala this year. And most importantly, I
Absolutely.
always end my interviews with, if you ever know of a child in need of our services, please let us know. We help everyone. We charge nothing and we turn no one away.
Absolutely. Thank you for that.
Thank you.